right. Hi, everyone. Give folks a couple more log in.
I need some salt. I need some salt.
Les, do we know if Steph is going to join and Dawn?
I'm not sure if Steph is going to join, but Dawn was here at the earlier meetings. So,
Dawn will be here.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Just
Right
give her
now,
another-
we have 14 people in the room, 2 members of the public, myself, and that would mean that there are 11 council members. Wait, no, I'm sorry.
we're right at 8 right now, council members.
Okay.
So, I mean, we do have quorum, but we'll go ahead and give Dawn one more minute.
Okay.
What about Roy? Was Roy on this morning?
Yes, Roy was on at the last meeting. He'll
Okay.
be here.
All right, great.
Hey, before we start the meeting, this is Kathy. Hi, everybody. Bill stopped by yesterday and wanted me to tell you guys all that he misses you all terribly, but is enjoying his retirement.
That's good for him.
Yeah.
It's good.
Doesn't have to tell stories. We know that he's much happier.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I don't want to wait too long.
Stephanie is here.
Okay, great. Okay, so just missing Roy, but hopefully he'll go ahead and join in a little bit later. So it is 1:05 p.m. I want to get started. It's Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. We do have quorum. I'll go ahead and just do a roll count. So I'm Onauna Thone, Council Chair. We have Robin Kay, Ron Terry, Mike Tulang, Maka'ala Ka'omoana, Keith Kawaoka, Mary Berger, Mahina Tudor, Don Heger Nordblom, Tessie Kinnaman, sorry, Ron Terry, and Stephanie Dunbar Cole here, all of our members. From OEQC, we have Les Segundo, and we have our AG, Kathy Ho, present as well. And then if the members of the public can go ahead and just identify themselves and their organization, please.
Yeah, hi, this is Cody Brooks, just here for RTO Insider. We're an energy market publication, just sort of watching things. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, and Pane, we couldn't hear you. I think you were starting to talk.
Oh, yes,
Here you go.
Panay the third, Hawaii Operating Engineers Industry Stabilization Fund, just monitoring the meeting.
Okay, all right. Thank you folks so much for joining us. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Les, how are we doing on meeting minutes?
I'm working back, so I'm gradually getting them done.
Okay, thanks, Les.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, let's see. Okay, and then up next, I will go ahead and hand it over to Keith for the OEQC Director's Report. You're on mute, Keith.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. Just a couple of things. Mercifully, the abbreviated legislative session has ended on Friday, but that's not the end in itself. There's still a fairly detailed process that needs to go on, particularly all the departments, including health, is going through what we call the budget worksheets, which actually spells out what kinds of budgets the legislature has given us, whether it's plus up, plus down in various parts of our departments. We're also looking at what we call CNRs, or comment and reviews, which basically looks at certain bills that our governor wants information on before he signs or vetoes a bill. So we're working on that. What could come in the future, I don't have any particular crystal ball, but there could be special sessions convened by the legislature. As far as all the other different reasons, there could be several reasons why they would call a special session. The one I can think of is, we understand the legislature has used ARP funding to supplement or in place of general funding or special fund type of purposes. So we don't have, from what I've heard, we don't have any specific guidance from the feds on where those ARP funds could be used to displace general funds, but that could be a reason why a special session could be convened in the next month or two. Legislature wise, like I said, we're still going through the various budget worksheets to see how specific bills has affected our various program areas. I'll defer for now to the legislative committee to kind of go over certain bills that I'm sure you're interested in, and I can kind of add to it as we go along. But that's overall the situation we're on now. Any questions?
Yeah, this is just for me, and others might know, but what are the ARP funds?
Oh, that's the American, it's not AARP, it's ARP, and it's the American Recovery Plan. This is the new, is it $1.9 trillion that the new administration has gotten enacted. So there's all kinds of reasons they're spending money on various purposes, but specifically to the states, unlike the previous CARES Act money that you remember we had to go through, which could not be used for state budgets. Apparently, the ARP funds could be used for certain purposes, although we don't know what those purposes are. And I think the legislature applied those funds where they saw the need for it, but whether it's going to be appropriate or authorized by the feds? That's another question at this point.
I saw Jan Ventura at Kai Kaheli's opening of his office yesterday or Friday, and she said that there would definitely be a special session, maybe twice even. So she was with Senator Akasha and some other politicians, so
Mhm.
we're all talking about it.
Interesting. Do we, well, maybe when we get to the ledge session, if you have any indications on what those special sessions might be, which bills, if you don't mind sharing. All right, any other questions for Keith? All right, thanks Keith so much for that update. I'll turn it over to Ron for the exemption committee update.
Yeah, we didn't have a meeting today, but the work of the exemption committee goes on. We have 4 agencies who are out there with exemption lists that will come to us before too long. First, for sure, will probably be the Kauai Department of Water, which should hit us at the July meeting. I will be gone in June, and so I asked them to defer to July if they could, figuring it'd be better for me to be there. And then we have 2 Honolulu city and county agencies and the County of Hawaii Department of Water Supply as well. They've all signaled to me or given me some initial lists that they're coming in. But for now, no business.
Great, thanks Ron. Any questions for Ron? Okay, and members of the public, I know you folks are observing, but if you do have any questions, feel free to jump in at any time. Okay, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Robin with the legislative committee update.
Hi, everybody. I will try and be brief. I'm nursing a cold that I just picked up from my grandson. So I'm in California. Can you all hear me? I'm on an iPad. Is this working? Yeah, okay. The bill that was most significant for us was, as you remember, HB 1318. And with Onana's very hard work at the very end, some technical components of it got clarified, and the bill was passed, and it sits on the governor's desk. And just as a reminder, it does everything we asked for, and to some degree or another, and more so. And Keith, comment anytime you want to jump in on this, and Kathy as well, and Onana. But basically, what it did was, in the broad sense, it moved the Environmental Council to the Office of Planning, changed our name to the Environmental Advisory Council. But it also did what we requested, which was to say that appeals would now go to the Environmental Court rather than to the environmental, to us. And the annual report no longer is a separate responsibility of ours, but rather we would be preparing a report on our year's work and then giving it to the Office of Planning to combine in their annual report. Those are the major things. We had a legislative committee meeting this morning, and we talked about a couple of potential hiccups. As I said, the bill is on the governor's desk, but it did more than just move us. It also moved some other agencies. And so it's possible that the governor may not agree with all of that. He may agree with part of it. He may agree with none of it. He may agree with all of it. My information comes from a newspaper article so it's no more assured than anything. And it indicated that that the governor was somewhat concerned about some of the reorganization. So Kathy and Keith and Onana, if you have more information, please jump in. At this point, I don't know. We're just waiting for the governor.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I know about as much as you know. So yeah, if anybody else can shed some light on that. And again, are we expecting that there's a particular problem with this bill? Would this be one of the bills that could potentially go to a special session? I think we'd be interested in knowing that.
Keith, do you have any insight on this?
All I can say is never say never in the legislature, especially we're going to a session or two, like Mario's indicating. But I think the bill, certainly on the Senate side, I think I mentioned this before, it went through 5 different committees for review. And I want to commend the chair again for her input into all of that and making it happen. I'll leave up the specifics on the bill itself, whether everything is a go to Kathy. But as far as, and this is just hearsay, but all the various other councils or commissions that were also being planned to move over to OP or DBIT in general, some succeeded and some didn't. And I don't know which ones, and I dare say which ones are in either one. But all I know is I think the OAQC one has made it through. I think it has general overall support, both at the operating working level. I've talked to Mary S. Evans several times. They're ready to make the mechanical things happen. I've alerted our DOH administration while all this is going through. I've never had to relinquish an organization. This is new for me. Usually we fight for keeping organizations or parts thereof, but I think in a sense, I think overall it's the best move to make. So I don't know, Kathy, you want to have anything to add?
Yeah. I took a look at House Bill 1318, Senate Draft 1, because I was concerned that, did I read it wrong? I still don't see anything from any other agencies that was moving except for OEQC. So there may be other bills that are moving other agencies or branches, but it's not in this bill, not in 1318. Someone asked at the last meeting, when does the governor have to sign? So the governor has 45 days to sign the bill. And he has 35 days from the date in which he got the bill to notify if there's going to be a veto. So, so that's all I have to report. I'll take a better look at House Bill 1318 to make sure that there's no other entities are being affected except for OEQC and the Environmental Council.
Kathy,
Thanks,
I would not argue with you, but I would see, the last time I looked, the Land Use Commission was in there, LUC, and
Yeah.
they were also being moved over to Office of Planning. Now, maybe they took it out when it went to his desk, but the last version that I read had the LUC in there. Mary, you saying no?
Well, I think it's LUC's mentioned, but I took a look too, because I know we had discussed this and some others had mentioned a potential holdup for HB 1318, but that's what I was wondering if it's in it, maybe in the LUC was in a different bill. Because I didn't see that language in the most recent version either. But yeah, if anybody, I think we all just need to maybe take a closer look, because I know we had been so hyper focused on the provisions that apply to us, of course, and it was a lot of moving pieces in a really short amount of time. But that's good to hear if that is a case that maybe that's a separate bill. I think that would make sense to handle them separately. I think our worry was that, this would be something that would potentially be vetoed if that's the case. And, I think you folks kind of answered a question I personally had is, what if, there was just one provision that the gov didn't like, could he veto a portion of it? And excuse my ignorance of the legislative process. I'm getting to know it better now that we've been a lot more involved, but it seems, yeah, it would probably be handled possibly through a special session, if that's the case, right?
It's all, veto is all or nothing.
Okay,
Yeah, and the governor can line item though, but only for appropriations.
For run money, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, if you don't- yeah, but this is not one of those cases.
okay, good to know. Thank you. Go ahead, Mary.
One last thing, everybody.
House Bill
Oh, sorry.
1149 is the bill that moves the Land Use Commission.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And
Yeah,
it-
and there may be some big confusion because in section 1 of House Bill 1318, it talks about
Right,
consolidating a bunch of different agencies,
Mhm.
but in fact, in the second section, it doesn't. So maybe that's the confusion.
okay. That
Mary,
could
what
be,
was the-
thank you.
What was the bill number for the LUC?
House Bill 1149, HD1, SD2, CD1 is what went to the governor on the 28th of April.
Okay, thank you.
And that's one of the things I heard where, whether it's in the same bill or a different bill, that LUC did not make the cut.
Mm,
As you recall, I mean, even OAQC, I mean, as it was winding through the legislature, it was almost gone.
mhm.
We were tracking as it, where did it go? And then it got resurrected.
Right.
It's my
Keith, do you offhand, can you recall, having gone through the budgets as they finished, what was the dollar amount for the for OEQC that was remaining?
No, I haven't gone through the specific numbers yet, nor for my organization. But the one concerns are certainly positions and program-related funding of these positions, but also with special funds. The legislature made another initiative to either cut back or eliminate a lot of these positions, special funds. Notable ones are like the tobacco fund you might have heard about. That's probably going to be gone. EMS, emergency medical services, that's going to use the ARP federal funding in this transition. So whether that all comes to pass, we'll probably have to wait to a special session to see what comes out. But I know the legislature, the money committees were certainly focusing in on those kinds of issues.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for that helpful additional information. We will keep working on trying to find out what's going on. And Onana, that's pretty much it for the Ledge Committee at this point.
Awesome. Thanks, Robin. Mary, just wanted to, did you have any other bills that you heard may potentially be, or issues that may come up in special session?
It's really the same thing that Keith already reported, is the questioning about the ARP monies and the I overheard some things that I don't think it's appropriate for me to repeat here, but I don't think we are at any risk.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I think that was our biggest concern is what HB 1318.
When I was introduced to Senator Ocasio, I was initially introduced as a realtor, and then someone added that, oh yeah, and OEQC, and she corrected it to say that our acronym is now different because and she congratulated me on the bill passing and our new home. And so
that's very interesting, Mary, because she was the most how do I say this, aggressive in the questioning during the hearings, the most negative, if you will, as well.
She said that she had learned a lot in this about us in the legislative session, and she was looking forward to learning more about us. And so I volunteered Ron and I to meet with her in trim session.
So I know, thank you for that. And that would be nice because I know she's the Hilo rep. Robin, I know we had reached out to her. Did she respond at all? Not yet?
No,
okay.
Nothing.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, we'll keep trying with her.
But I think it's a great idea for you and Ron, Mary and Ron, to do it rather than you and I. She's yours. You can, I won't say that. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. Thank you for doing that reach out service.
Okay. Well,
That's
great.
it.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you all for it. It was a team effort again. Everything that we do is to, this legislative session. I think it was probably our most active as a council. So, we continue to learn, and it's been good, making the contacts, even if some of the questioning is a little intense. But again, learning experience, and thank you everybody for your hard work on this. Okay, so I will go ahead and pass it on to Mahina for the Rules Committee update.
All right, thanks, Onauna. So we had a great committee meeting earlier this morning. Let's see, before today's committee meeting, committee members each sent in proposed edits of our procedural rules. I put them together in one document, circulated so that we could go over it today. So in today's meeting, we went over, 1318 and what that might mean moving forward. We discussed some global edits to the rules that we want to make. We went through a few subsections. Also decided that we're going to do another comb through for inconsistencies after we're a little bit more sure of where everything is at, because for this round, we mostly focused on the appeals process. Let's see. We had a good discussion about filing requirements, which I think we'll continue to talk about. And then kind of one thing that we want to float to the full council and perhaps get on the legislative committee's agenda for next time is the quorum requirement. And that is in 2013D. We talked about changing it from, and sorry if I'm mixing up the words, so anybody please jump in and correct me. Changing it from a majority of all members to which the council is entitled shall constitute a quorum to like the number of members appointed. So this would require a change to 9215, the quorum requirements in that. And I know Onauna and Robin, you folks are a lot more familiar with, what went down in session when it comes to Senator Moriwaki, like proposing reducing council members and all of that. So we just thought this was something we should discuss, trying to make a more general change.
Yeah, I would just add, so yeah, Robin, as the legislative committee chair, if you can just make a note of that, because since it popped into our meeting today, we may not remember it by next session. I don't anticipate that this would be an issue to bring up during any special sessions, but if we can make a note to perhaps approach legislators, and yeah, it looks like, and Kathy would probably be able to opine better, but Sunshine Laws 92-15 is, I think, where we would need to make the amendment before we could amend it in our procedural rules. And the concern is, our statute allows us to have up to 15 members, which we did advocate for because it's not a requirement to have 15, but we like the flexibility. But at the same time, that puts our quorum number at 8 members. And so, the concern is in the event that the governor doesn't appoint a full board of 15, we're still stuck with our quorum being at 8, right? And this has caused, some potential voting issues for us in recent history even. So that's something I think we can just kind of put on our list and maybe approach legislators about. I'm sure other boards and commissions probably have, the same problem.
I think that's true.
Mahina, any other updates? Yeah, I think I would just add from Rules Committee that we haven't gotten through the whole section yet, so I don't think we're ready to present anything to the full council. It'll probably take us another meeting, perhaps two, to kind of comb through the proposed edits. And this morning when we discussed, we weren't sure about the land use commission piece, so we really weren't sure if HB 1318 was going to move forward or not, but it sounds like I think we're probably okay on that. And so we'll continue to, proceed with amending the rules, the procedural rules accordingly. We probably will have to also make some adjustments to 11-200.1 at some point, but we'll take it one step at a time for now. And just so everybody knows, if HB 1318 goes over, we actually don't have rulemaking authority. So really it would be OP making these changes, most likely, but we're at least, teeing it up to kind of make it as easy as possible if and when we do actually move over. So that's kind of the plan for now. Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, all right, thanks, Mahina.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary, I'll hand it over to you for the INL update.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The INO update is that we continue to work on our forums, and we've got a great person doing our flyers for us. So our flyers going to get its next revision, and you'll see that coming out soon. Just so everyone know that we're doing our format for our flyer has the panelists on there, and then we have hot links to the panelists, whatever the panelist wants us to give out. So we don't have to spend a lot of time in the forum doing introductions and things like that. So they can have a hot link to their CV or their bio or whatever. And then we're asking people to submit their questions ahead of time. So we're going good for our first forum will be on June, I always get the date, June 16th. And we're excited about that. The Watershed Forum has come together nicely. Dawn has been so super helpful in sharing her professional knowledge with different people. And then Maka'ala spent a really nice bit of time with me on the phone. I really appreciate that, Maka'ala. The different talents that people bring to this council it's very exciting to me. And I really appreciate all of the contributions that are made. And so then we did start to work on our next forum, which is the next one will be transportation. And so if anybody has if any of my fellow council members here have any thoughts on who should speak to us regarding transportation, feel free to email myself, and then we're not really, there's no deadline at this point, but we're ready to start getting the next forum planned. So that's all that INO is up to. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you folks for doing that. It sounds like everything is coming together really quickly. Can you remind us again when forum number 2 was anticipated, just around the deadline? I know you said no deadline, but I think it's good for folks to have.
July 21st.
July 21st, okay.
And then the one on transportation will be on September 15th. So, and that was, to be more specific, because if you remember, we took all of these topics from our annual report. The discussion in the annual report is improved transportation modes, not just transportation.
Okay, great.
Mary,
Thanks.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat those 3 dates? You have June 16th is the first forum. Right?
June 16th, July 21st, and September 15th.
September 15, 15.
15,
And
yes.
And what was the topic for that one?
That one is improved transportation modes.
Okay, then I missed this topic for the second one. I'm sorry.
Watershed protection and better stormwater management.
Oh, okay, then I missed the one for the first one. That's what I missed.
Climate change, sea level rise, shoreline protection, and erosion.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
that's okay.
Thanks for clarifying that.
That's what happens when the chair of INO doesn't get good minutes out.
You folks are doing great. Don't worry.
I actually have the chicken scratch minutes, which I'll get typed up and get them. I'll get that cleaned up. I apologize.
No problem. All right. Well, thank you, folks. Any other comments or questions for Mary? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. So we're breezing through the agenda. I'll go ahead and hand it back to you, Robin, for the strategic planning update.
Okay, just a couple of things. So far, we've had 30 surveys, 30 responses to the survey. I got a count today from the folks that are doing it for us. We put it out in 2 lists. One list, thank you, Les, for all that you did on this. One list was the one that all of us contributed to, and Royce in particular spent a lot of time cleaning it up and getting some good addresses for Les to send it out. And then it went out in the April 30th, if I remember correctly, environmental notice. So we've done a pretty extensive outreach, and so far we have 30 responses. So that's the primary report from the PIG. The second issue I wanted to raise for us was, how did you all want to think about working with the Office of Planning, assuming this transition goes through? It would make, in my opinion, sense to proceed with our planning with the Office of Planning. So anybody want to jump in on that and think about that or comment on it? I mean, I realize we don't know for sure it's going to happen, but any thoughts from anybody?
Robin, I also don't know what their shop includes right now as far as expertise. Their staff changes over time and
Sure.
their skill sets change over time. So sometimes OP has some, very specific experience that would help us through this process, but sometimes that's not the work they're focused on. So it'd be interesting to query them and see what they can offer.
Yeah, and my experience with OP has been through the CZM and MACSAC, and I know they're much more extensive than that. And Mary, were you going to say something on this? Did I see you?
I was just looking to see what was the effective date of the bill. It
It's
would take
July.
effect- They've dated it for July 1/21.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
remember
but-
seeing anything in the bill that said when things would happen.
Yeah, I would just offer maybe not reaching out to OP until we know for sure it's going to happen. Doesn't necessarily mean we need to wait till July, but just because we don't want anybody, wasting brain power resources on, something that's still kind of hypothetical at this point. I mean,
Okay,
or maybe
that's
we can
fine.
ask Keith, because Keith can probably, hey Keith, I don't know if the agency, if you don't know something's happening for sure, I don't know how the agency would want to, spend resources essentially, thinking about it.
In fact, I just talked to Mary Alice this week, and the subject was sort of close to that, where, I think from OP standpoint, they'd like to know the viewpoint sentiments. I know, Onana, you've talked to her already, but for the others, I told her, if you wanted to find specific, and the staff as well, to find out more specifics on what's going on, why wait till July 1st?
Okay,
Because once July 1st happens, things are going to move,
really
I hope,
quickly.
fairly rapidly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, Keith, I think that, Onana, how about if I throw out an option that maybe you appoint 2 or 3 people to, I guess you can't say sit down with anymore, but to have a conversation with 2 or 3 people at OP. I think Keith's right. I would be afraid if this happens, we would have missed an opportunity for a couple of months of
Sure.
preliminary thinking.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, so maybe we could just put a little task force, or it could easily be just you and Mary Alice, Onana, but I know you've also got another life out there besides us. So please, maybe give it some thought and see with Keith's guidance, how do we do this? What do we need to think about? I mean, just from the conversation today, talking about what Mahina had raised and the strategic planning and the survey response, I mean, we really should have a little more connection to our parent at this point.
Okay, no, with that, I didn't know if OP was, I hadn't talked to Mary Alice specifically about this point, if they had the, essentially the wavelengths to kind of take this on early, but if that's the feedback and then yes, I agree. I mean, doing it earlier is better than later. So I'll go ahead and reach out to Mary Alice. And then maybe at the next meeting in June, just because I am cognizant this wasn't on the agenda, we can work on, voting to appoint a task force to work with OP. So, folks, think about it if you want to be on that. And we'll get an agenda item for that for the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And it seems to me, and I'm glad you're waiting just till the next meeting, but there's a couple of tracks. I mean, there's the whole Department of Health and DBED level of conversation. There's you and Mary Alice's level of conversation. And then there's, as Makala said, what are the things they have that would really enrich our toolkit, and vice versa. So yeah, it could be a multi-leveled, multi-layered conversation. Sorry, this cough medicine is kicking in here.
No problem. No, those are great ideas. Okay, so after this meeting, I'll go ahead and shoot Mary Alice an email and just see if we can, get on the phone and start talking through this.
Okay, and just to close up the strategic planning from the PIGS perspective, I'm going to work with Max and Lisa, our survey folks, to start giving us some information rather than just a count. It's time to get started on that. So that's it.
Hey, Robin, what was the deadline for the survey? And I believe the intent was to have the council members also respond to the survey. So
yeah, that's a good point, Roy. You should have all, I guess, Les, could we send that link to all of the EC folks?
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
And as to your deadline question, Roy, I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure it's passed. So, and I actually was thinking about, did we want to send
yeah,
out
that's what I
another
thought,
reminder?
because I was intending to respond and I forgot. So I
Yeah.
thought it was April
I think
30th
if
or
Les,
something.
Les, if you wouldn't mind passing it out to just us guys here, that would be, and all of you, please, it's one question, but it's an open-ended narrative. So please give it some thought. It's a great opportunity for us, especially as we work our way into the Office of Planning. Good idea, Roy. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Robin. Are there any other questions or comments on the strategic planning update? Okay, so just have a couple of, I think, announcements. Our next meeting is Tuesday, June 1st. So I think, actually, I had put on the agenda that we'll have it at 1:30 again, but since we're not having exemptions committee next month, I propose we have our full EC at 1 o'clock. Does that work for folks? Okay, so it'll likely be 1 o'clock again for June, and then likely go back to 1:30 in July to accommodate the longer exemption committee meeting if needed. The other thing was, I just wanted to remind folks, you probably got an email, but financial disclosures are due June 1st. I know some folks have already got it in, just a reminder to check your emails and get those in. And then
I'll just say, those of you who haven't done it, it is so easy to do. The state has got, whoever made those modifications to the, and when I think about having to fit it in the typewriter and fit stuff in those little boxes back in the day, I mean, kudos to the state of Hawaii, whoever that web person is. It's
Yeah, I second that. It's really very easy, and especially if you haven't changed much since
Yeah.
the previous year.
Mhm.
It's a piece of cake. It's a checkbox. So,
yeah, much better than the
I think it took me like 2.5 minutes.
Mhm.
Seriously.
well, you've always been fast, Mary. So
Yep. So yeah, if you folks have questions on that, we'll try to help. But you should have received an email from the state, just remind it back in April, reminding you that your financial disclosures are due on June 1st. So I think they usually send another email kind of closer to it. But yeah, go ahead and get that done. All right. Any questions on that? No? Okay. The other thing was, there was a Civil Beat article recently about the Kukuleao training. And so I think almost everybody has done it. I wanted to check, I know Dawn, you're new to this council. So I think you're the only person who may not have, but if there are others, by law, we are required to go through the Native Hawaiian legal training that Kukuleao from the law school puts on. So is there anybody here who hasn't yet gotten the opportunity to do it? And Don, you may have done it in a different context. If that's the case, let us know. But I just want to make sure that we've all completed it.
And I know someone who took it online this time and also took it previously in person and loved the online process. Found it to be very useful and helpful. And so don't, if you haven't done it, don't hesitate to do it on the online system now.
Okay. Yeah, so, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's totally different. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just finish up with that. So if there is anybody who hasn't taken it, please let me know. I want to make sure everybody's in it. I do think everybody's done it, but if not, and I think you can take it more than once, right, Mahina? Yeah, if you want to. I think we just have to do it once. And so, Mahina, if you have an update on just when the next one would be.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Onana. We are currently in talks with OHA right now, trying to figure everything out given the bill and some of the new kind of contracting requirements. The next one will be online. We don't have a date yet. We're thinking right now July, so that new appointments May, July 1st. It would just make a lot of sense just to jump right into the training. Yeah, and we're trying to figure out different modules and things like that that could make it even more accessible for people who can't make that specific, synchronous time. So yeah, hopefully I'll have more at our next meeting. Sorry, I don't have more right now.
That's helpful. Yeah, I just want to make sure it stays on our radar. And then we provide the information in case folks need to get into that training again.
Yeah, the Environmental Council is one of the best boards or commissions. Yeah, we're like fully compliant. Amazing job, everyone.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure because I think that article implied that we possibly weren't, or if you didn't read it carefully. So, but I was like, I'm pretty sure we are. So I just wanted to check with everybody. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on the training? No? Okay, then Robin, I know you had something else. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to be a pain in everybody's butt and remind you all to be out hustling new members. We have some vacancies. We've talked about it at every meeting. I've personally contacted 3 or 4 people, one of whom I know has applied. But there are a number of people out there who don't know how to do this or that it's even an option. We know, but this woman that I spoke with who would be very good, her first question was, well, I went to the OEQ, to the EA's site, and I couldn't see any place to volunteer. Or my point is, people don't know how to do it. So please, as you go through your week's worth of Zooms, or if any of you are lucky enough to have face-to-face meetings, think about those people that would be good additions to this group of ours and encourage them and show them how to do it. It's very easy. You all know that. But we have Onana 2 vacancies now, right?
I think that's 2, either 2 or 3.
2 or 3. And there's no saying that the governor will make any appointments right away. Who knows? But we need to make sure that we at least could say we have a bullpen of people ready to participate. So I would just encourage you all to do that, please.
Yeah, so we do have 2 vacancies, and yeah, I think it's worth continuing to reach out to folks, getting them prepped. They can go to the boards and commissions website for the state, and I think it even shows the vacancy list for the different boards and commissions. But yeah, with the caveat that if they're aching to get on one immediately, particularly the council, because we may be kind of moving departments soon, right? There may be kind of a long lead time. But thank you for that reminder, Robin.
Robin, I did reach out to someone who filed their papers last week.
Great, thanks, Ron. Okay, any other questions, comments, or announcements? No? Okay, folks, well, thank you so much. This was one of our quicker meetings today. We'll continue to monitor legislation, and we'll see folks on June 1st. All right, thanks, everyone.
Take care.